Good morning and welcome. I'll get it out. Starting off this badly, ain't I? Welcome to Wake Up American Ministries, and we're going to be doing our Mother's Day tribute today. We'd be amiss for not honoring our moms and our grandmothers, aunts, teachers, our spiritual mothers, any woman that's come into your life that's had an influence, a positive influence on your life. And there's all sorts of mothers, not just biological mothers. And we're gonna give this another minute or so, and then we're going to we'll get into this because we're running a little behind, as usual, on Sunday morning. But hopefully you're getting ready to go to your own home church this morning, and again, we'd like to emphasize that this posting that we do, this is not your church service. This is just a little something extra for you to feed on and think on and just receive some encouragement from the word of the Lord. So anyway, all right, so I've got the keep going sign. So we're going to keep going. But anyway, so our tribute to our moms today. For many of us today, our moms have passed on. We have grandmothers that have passed on, especially if you're like me, you're getting old, and they've passed on and you don't have them with us anymore. But regardless of whether they're here with us or whether they're not, they continue to influence our lives, decisions that we make, our values that we hold, and we hold them near and dear to our heart because our mother was one of those that instilled things into us, and we're not discounting fathers today, okay, because fathers should have the major leading role in this, but it ain't Father's Day, it's Mother's Day. So we're going to focus on mothers today, and our first scripture verse this morning is Deuteronomy 5:16, and it's essentially repeated in Ephesians 6:23, not necessarily word for word, but it talks about this. It said, honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. Now here's the promise, because the first part here is the commandment. Now here's the promise, that it might be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. So when we give the proper respect to our parents, and not just to parents, but to elders. So who's an elder? Well, anybody that's older than you, that has authority over you, that has the ability to influence you and teach you in the way that you should go, namely in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Because I remember when I was a little boy, there was a lady that kept me. She was our neighbor. She lived a few houses down from us, and I wasn't old enough to quite go to school yet. But she was one of these very godly women, and her name was Miss Bernice Hayes, and she's been long gone a long time ago. And she kept me, and she was a very godly, she was a praying woman. And I still remember, even as a little boy, sitting at her table and the influence that she had upon our lives. And I know there were many times that she had an impact on not just my life, but on the life of my parents, who, they were me and my brother. We were about, 16 months apart, whatever we were. And anyway, she would come, and I remember her and my dad sometimes, and my mom, conversations were coming up, but we were sitting out under the carport shelling butter beans about different things, and she would offer guidance in different things. And I still remember her to this day, and she was just a dear woman, a godly woman, like I said, and there's nothing that can replace that. And we have a commandment here from Ephesians 6:25-28. We're not going to read the whole thing because we just don't have time. I'm going to try to keep this relatively short this morning because we know you got somewhere to be. Hopefully you're getting ready to go to church, but probably a lot of people are getting ready to go visit their mom or their grandmother somewhere. But anyway, it's Ephesians 6:25-28. It's talking about a command to husbands. It says, husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Now you think about that. Now we know that God's church, Christ's church, He loves it dearly, and He loves all those that are a part of it. And I mean, He loves us all, but He loves His church because His church is designed to do what? To spread the gospel, bring souls into the kingdom, and He loves His children as any good father would. And anyway, so this is the command for husbands on how to treat your wives, to love them and cherish them. And, I mean, wives are not to be a doormat, for their man. And, I really like the relationship that Julie and I have. We've been together. We dated about 10 months, then we got married a little sooner than we planned, but, things happen. And we've been together for almost 24 years. Matter of fact, next month it'll be 24 years we've been together. And in the 24 years, we've only had about, which I guess you'd say, 5 so-called disagreements. And we was talking about this the other day, and we were trying to remember what they were, and we could actually only remember like 2 of them. And so anyway, actually what the cause of it was, but obviously we got it all worked out and we moved on. And, I just can't stress to you how valuable it is to be in a relationship where it's loving, it's nourishing, it's caring, where we have mutual respect one for another. And I don't see Julie as somebody who walks behind me. I see her as somebody who walks beside me, and we're hand in hand, and we support one another, and we love one another, and we have common interest. We have singleness of mind, I guess you might say, that when it comes to decisions, we try to make decisions together, but sometimes she'll leave that decision to me, and then whatever I decide, she's good with it. If we do have I guess you might say a different viewpoint on something, then we are able to discuss that. We work it out. We don't leave it unfinished. We don't leave it, where one is, I guess, feels tainted or slighted or disrespected or anything. We've been able to work it out, and it just works really well for us. And I want to give God the praise for it, because it was God that put us together. And I remember whenever we were wanting to get married, and Brother Ronnie Collins, by the way, we went to his house, and he was going to counsel with us, and he prayed with us. And as he was praying, he made a statement in his prayer. He said, "I believe that God has put His seal upon you." And we had an evangelist who we knew him. We interacted with him a little bit within the church bounds, but not outside personally. So he don't really know us, as we are people. So, I mean, I wouldn't say we were friends. We're just, he was an evangelist. He came in, he did his thing, then he leaves. And he's not local. He's from farther down South Georgia, but he put his hands upon us one night, and he spoke something, and he said, this relationship is, I believe he said, I don't remember if he said the word sealed, I think he did, but he basically said we were like glue. And he said the only thing that will separate us is death. And so it's a good thing. So, well, where are you going with this? Well, I'm glad you asked. Proverbs 31 and verse 10. And this is what it says. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. So let me tell you something, young man. Let me tell you something, old guy. And I'm that old guy. If you have found a woman, and she is virtuous, and she takes care of you, and she loves you, and she respects you, and she takes care of your children, and she takes care of things of the home. See, because Julie and I, we kind of have a deal. She generally takes care of things on the inside. I take care of things on the outside. Now, that's not saying that I don't help a little bit on the inside. I do. And she's gracious because she'd rather be outside when I'm outside doing whatever it is I'm doing. So we complement each other in that way. And now that I'm retired, I try to do a little bit more on the inside than I used to do. And so it ain't all bad, but it works really, really well. But the thing is, what is this verse telling us? It says that a virtuous woman, she is priceless. She's invaluable. And there are many benefits to having a virtuous woman that you can be joined to in matrimony. Because now there's a key thing now. Matrimony, not shacking up, but married the way God intended the family unit to be. There's 31, according to the Date Study Bible, in this particular passage, Proverbs 31, there are 31 attributes of a virtuous woman. Now, we don't have time to go through them all, so I just kind of picked out a few things that really are key in this thing, because obviously we just don't have time. But anyway, verse 11 and 12, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you can go back and read it for yourself. And this is what I came to a conclusion for. It says that he doesn't worry about I'll get it out. He doesn't worry about what she does, where she goes, because he is confident that she's always doing the right thing. So when we're apart, I don't have to worry about my wife, being somewhere she ain't supposed to be with somebody she ain't supposed to be with. I don't have to worry about, is Julie going to town to shop till she drops? I don't have to worry about that. She's as frugal with money as I am, because we live in an economy today where you better be, because things are getting more pricey, things are more expensive, and it takes, a little bit more to, we have to be now, because my income's not what it used to be, because I'm retired, and but God's going to take care of that. But anyway, that's another thing for another day. But she's a provider, and not just in what she does, because most successful households today, unless the man's got a 6-digit or 7-digit job, a lot of women have to work. So she helps provide. But not only is she providing, if she works, she's providing at home. Providing what? Whatever the need may be, whether it's love, nourishment, whether it's, if you have children and they fall down and they skin a knee, mom's a nurse. I mean, mothers do many different things. They fulfill many different roles. They wear many hats, I guess is what I'm trying to say. She's a caretaker. She's generous. And she gives of herself, bless her heart, before I got my CPAP machine, she didn't understand it. But I'd wake up in the mornings, like on a Saturday morning, and by 10:30 I needed a nap. Now she didn't understand what I was going through. And for probably 15, 16 years, she'd been after me to go to the doctor and get this seen about. But I'd be just so tired because I didn't sleep well at night. But anyway, when mom's tank runs out of gas and she's exhausted, she hits, kind of like on your four-wheeler. It's got a reserve. So she'll flip that switch and she's able to keep going for a little bit longer. That's what moms do. She's reliable, she's dependable, and she's respected. Now this here is a key thing. It says she's respected in the community because she is known to be virtuous. So her reputation precedes her because she is known to be that virtuous woman. And verse 23 goes on to say this. It says, husbands gain respect because of her, because she speaks with wisdom and kindness. This is the woman now. It says she is not idle. So, when the man comes home and he flops down in his recliner and he grabs the remote control and he says, hey, old lady, bring me something to drink. Now, you shouldn't say that, okay? Respect your wife, because that's really a pet peeve of mine. I don't like for people to refer to my wife as my old lady, because that's not the way I see her. I see her as my loving, dear wife. That's what she is to me. So if you know me and when you approach me, and I've had this happen, please don't refer to my wife as my old lady, because that's not what she is to me, and I don't expect anybody to refer to her in those terms. But anyway, just a little humor there, but in all seriousness, respect your wife, honor her, cherish her. It says she is busy taking care of her family, and that's what moms do. Verse 28 through 31 says this, the greatest part, now this, and I am going to read this because this is key. The greatest part about the mom, about your wife, because just because you don't have biological children of your own doesn't mean that you're not a mother, because you can influence a child, a niece, a nephew, if you're a teacher, a student, if you're a Sunday school teacher and you don't have kids, you still have influence on the life of a child. Anyway, 28 through 31, this is what it says. It says, her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. See, that's another thing. Acknowledge what she does for you, husbands. Acknowledge what she does for you and the family. Because when you're resting, I know Julie is very often, like throughout the day, she don't just come plop down on the couch and watch TV. She's busy doing something all the time, just about. It says, verse 29, many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Now this is the godly woman. So this is the greatest thing, and not just of women, but of anybody. Being a godly man, being a godly woman. That's the greatest thing, that whenever you die and you pass on, that's how people remember you, is not just what you did for the Lord, but how you treated your family. And so, anyway, I want to read this quote to you, and I'm going to try to get through it because it's very touching, it's very dear. And it says, my mother was an angel upon earth. She was a minister of blessing to all human beings within her sphere of action. Her heart was the abode of heavenly purity. She had no feelings but of kindness and beneficence. Yet her mind was as firm as her temper was mild and gentle. She had known sorrow, but her sorrow was silent. She was acquainted with grief, but it was deposited in her own bosom. She was the real personification of female virtue, of piety, of charity, of ever active and never intermitting benevolence. And that was a quote that John Quincy Adams made about his mother, Abigail. So that sums it up pretty well. So husbands, fiancés, boyfriends, young man looking for a wife, if you can find a woman like this, I would say marry her. Pray about it. Seek the Lord. Let him lead you and guide you. I told her not to do that. She's over here with tears in her eyes. Anyway, that's going to make me boo. Anyway, folks, that's all we have for you today. Honor your mother. Honor your father, that it may be well with you. It would prolong your days. Give honor to the Lord by honoring your parents. That's all we have for you this day on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Be blessed. Remember this, Jesus is coming soon. Now you can finish getting ready and going to your own home church. And Lord willing, we'll see you next week.